All right, man, peace. You know, brothers, I caught this very interesting segment here pertaining to who many of these NFL media pundits believe to be the best quarterback in the National Football League right now. In my view, it's still Mr. Aaron Rodgers in regards to overall ability and talent. But when it's pertaining to who's having the best season, without a doubt, is Mr. Drew Brees. Who is my favorite quarterback to watch? It is Pat Mahomes. And who is the quarterback to watch to potentially being the next best quarterback in the NFL? That's Mr. Jared Goff. So anyway, they're going to talk about it, and I'm going to chime in.
It continues to be a year of incredible quarterback play. Drew Brees adding another MVP-type performance to a group that includes Jared Goff, Patrick Mahomes, and Andrew Luck. So here's a look at the top 5 quarterbacks according to QBR. Brees.
Look at number 3, Mitchell Trubisky. Once again, a lot of these pundits are not giving him his just due. I understand that according to the eye test, he might not be that appealing to watch, but he has had a very good season thus far.
Brees and Mahomes sit atop the list, respectively, with injured Bears.
And now look at Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers, falling just outside of that elite class when it comes to the ESPN stat known as QBR rankings. Tom Brady is 10, Aaron Rodgers is 19. They both might be heading for the stretch run in their careers.
Bears quarterback Mitchell Trubisky in 3rd position. Goff and Luck round out the top 5 on this list. And important to note that Tom Brady is 10th and Aaron Rodgers 19th.
I would love to see how Aaron Rodgers would look if he was able to get a top running back like a Le'Veon Bell. I'm already on record as stating that Le'Veon Bell should sign with the Indianapolis Colts. That would be a great decision, not only for him but also for them. But if he were not to go to the Indianapolis Colts, I'd like to see him sign with the Green Bay Packers and see how Aaron Rodgers is able to implement him into their offense. Aaron Rodgers is really starting to remind me a lot of LeBron James when it comes to his overall archetype. I do have to agree with Skip Bayless on his assessment when it comes to that.
All right, fellas, we ready for it? Let's do this. Max, give it to me. Top 5 quarterbacks.
You want us?
Top 5 quarterbacks when it comes to who's playing the best this season. No doubt, number 1 is Drew Brees. Number 2 is Pat Mahomes. Number 3 is Jared Goff. Number 4, I say Andrew Luck. And number 5, I might give it to Phillip Rivers or maybe Big Ben. One of those two.
Want to start from 5 or 1?
However you want to do it.
Okay. The 5th best quarterback in football right now is Aaron Rodgers.
Well, he's the best in overall ability, but I can't give it to Aaron right now because his team has a losing record. No matter how well he's played stat-wise, his team has a losing record.
And we all know Aaron Rodgers is the best, but we're talking about the play right now. We're taking a snapshot. Now, even though the team is struggling, boy, this dude, come on. Patrick Mahomes is going to have 4 because he threw a bunch of picks, and one of them was to end the game.
Yeah.
So I think he drops a little below Goff,
okay,
who deserves credit, by the way, for not having as many weapons as...
I'm already on record as stating that I have Patrick Mahomes 2 and Jared Goff 2A. I can't have Andrew Luck that high, though. But as we all know, Max Kellerman is an Andrew Luck fan.
Let's put it this way. His weapons talent aren't pitched as high as Mahomes, and yet he's been a little bit better of a decision maker. Andrew Luck right now, quiet as kept. Put Andrew Luck on the Chiefs or the Rams. This man is playing at that level, and he ain't on the Chiefs or the Rams. And Drew Brees is playing as good a quarterback at this moment as has ever walked the planet Earth. That is your list, 5 to 1.
Okay, let's let Stephen A. do his list, and then we'll debate. Stephen A., who you
Well,
got?
first of all, I want to apologize to my producers because it's my fault because I wasn't going to have Big Ben. I didn't mean to have Big Ben in my list as my top 5. To be quite honest with you, I'm a Pittsburgh Steelers fan and I mentioned it, but the bottom line is I gave the wrong list. So I want to apologize to my producers. That's not their fault. That's my fault. That's the list that I gave them. I definitely have at number 5. I'm thinking along the lines of Phillip Rivers. There's no question. I'm gonna go there. I'm going to put Andrew Luck at number 4.
Okay, so then I agree with Stephen A. Smith's list, entry for entry then. I agree, Drew Brees 1, Patrick Mahomes 2, Jared Goff 3. Number 4 would be Andrew Luck, and number 5, I would actually have it a tie between Big Ben and Phillip Rivers.
I don't have Aaron Rodgers in my top 5 even.
And let me say this, I believe that Russell Wilson is a better overall quarterback than either Big Ben or Phillip Rivers, but once again, the team record is a reflection of where I'm going to place you. I cannot reward quarterbacks, no matter how well they're playing stat-wise, when they're not on winning teams.
Even though I know he's the best to ever play the position as far as I'm concerned, I'm just talking about the things that the Green Bay Packers have done to take the ball away from him. There are too many things that we haven't seen. He's been completing around 60% of his passes over the last several weeks because guys running wrong routes, dropping passes, along with a bevy of other things, but I can't put him in there. No.
Yeah, but you know, once again, and I love Aaron Rodgers' talent. He's probably the most superlative, athletically gifted quarterback that I've ever seen in regards to his ability to throw an assortment of passing routes. But he really is a prima donna. And he's starting to look like one of these athletes who needs to be in an environment of dysfunction so that he has somebody else to blame. I'm not quite sure if he'd know what to do with a team that had a great offensive line, a great running back, and great wide receivers. Because who would he point the finger at when things start to go awry? It's very LeBron James-esque. And once again, I have to agree with Skip Bayless on that assessment in regards to Aaron.
And numbers-wise, I can't put him in there based on the kind of year the other guys I have thus far. I'm going to sit up there, Rivers.
And Jared Goff, I'm a big admirer in regards to how he throws the football, whether it's down the field, short routes, sideline patterns, great in the clutch, so on and so forth. He seems unflappable. Reminds me a lot of Joe Montana.
That's number 5. I'm going to put Andrew Luck at number 4. And then 2, 3, and 1 are obvious with Jared Goff, Patrick Mahomes, and then Drew Brees at number 1. I think Jared Goff has been sensational. The ball placement, particularly on difficult throws.
Absolutely.
That require you to place the ball exactly where it needs to be. And Jared Goff doesn't get enough credit with what he's done. And
Absolutely. Once again, when it comes to downfield throws, Jared Goff is right there with Aaron Rodgers.
He showed me something by doing what he did last week without Cooper Kupp available to him.
Yes, great point. Jared Goff is the type of quarterback that makes his receivers look even better than they actually are.
Patrick Mahomes speaks for himself. I do think
Patrick Mahomes is probably the most overall talented quarterback that I can remember seeing other than John Elway and maybe Brett Favre. I mean, really. I mean, and of course, Aaron Rodgers as well. But the things that he can do, running left, running right, throwing off the wrong foot, it's like, wow. And always pinpoint accurate, too, for the most part. Most of his interceptions are just him just being a little bit too confident on the verge of cocky.
He holds the ball on more than a few occasions a little bit too long. I think that assisted some difficulties along with him getting sacked as well. And I think that's why he went from having 1 interception on the year at the beginning to having 10 on the season thus far. And Drew Brees, he threw his 2nd interception of the entire season last night. But he does what?
When you think about Patrick Mahomes, this is a guy who has 37 touchdowns and 10 or 12 interceptions. And he's basically a quarterback who does not throw checkdowns. When he gets to the maturity level where he starts to throw checkdowns like a Drew Brees, we could see him have a 50 touchdown, 3 interception season, Patrick Mahomes.
What he wants, when he wants, how he wants, because he's simply a savant at the quarterback position at this point in time in his career. So I'm going to go Brees.
And when I say he doesn't throw checkdowns, of course, he does every once in a while, and they throw screen patterns to Kareem Hunt. But I'm talking about that's not a staple in their offense. He loves to throw it down the field.
1, Mahomes 2, Goff 3, Luck 4, and obviously Phillip 5.
Hold up. No love for Tom Brady? We're just dismissing.
We're taking a snapshot? Tom Brady's not in the top 10.
We're just dismissing Tom Brady, who hasn't had Gronkowski a lot, who didn't have his weapons.
You've been watching the last couple of weeks?
Yeah,
he's not been an elite quarterback in the last few weeks.
Yeah, it's fluid. The list is fluid.
Yeah, it's fluid, but I can't put Tom Brady in my top 5 right now. He hasn't performed well enough. And I've just seen too many of his throws go awry.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to tell you what. Brady's going to be in my list. He's going to be in my list. I'll tell you what, my list would be like this. Brees, Brady, Mahomes, Rodgers, Goff. And let me tell you why, all right? Drew Brees has been playing at the very top levels of his game for a long time. Like I said, there's reasons why he's getting the credit now that he didn't get before. And quite honestly, I think that's a travesty because the guy should have been considered one of the best for a long time. Look, I understand how Tom looked against the Tennessee Titans. I understand that he looked like someone who somebody had his number. And you're right, Mike Vrabel did have his number. And if we want to take a stat, if you want to look at 1 week, 2 weeks, or look at...
Well, everybody knows what the number is on Tom Brady. That's hit him often, scare him by faking like you're going to go to his knees. You'll get him tap dancing in the pocket. You'll definitely get him tap dancing, as Stephen A. Smith would say, like the late, great Gregory Hines.
Look look at 16 weeks when this is all said and done, Tom's going to be in there in that top 3.
16 right now, Lewis.
Okay, well, I can't look at it. I can't look at it that myopically. I can't do that. All right, Pat Mahomes, you know how I feel about Pat. And I'm telling you this, down there, the people in Kansas City, they are not discouraged in any way, shape, or form by what happened out there in L.A.
Nor should they be. That was one of the most extraordinary performances that I've ever seen by a quarterback who made a couple of gross errors. This dude threw for almost 500 yards and 6 touchdowns. And if it wasn't for a couple of bonehead plays at the end of the game, they would have won that game. And he would have pretty much stamped himself as the leader by a slim margin over Drew Brees in the MVP race.
At all. As a matter of fact, they're even more encouraged because they were waiting for this. They were waiting for this bump in the road to now see how he's going to respond. And they think he is going to come out just absolutely on fire. Aaron Rodgers right now, who I have at number 4, I think, you know what? It's funny how I'm going to mention Aaron Rodgers and Dak Prescott at the same time. Aaron Rodgers is being limited some by a very static, boring offense that hasn't really embrace some of the new ways to spread people out and give your quarterback an even easier time at dissecting deep.
Well, Louis, Rick, we already know the coach of the Green Bay Packers, Mike McCarthy, his fat ass is going to be out of there at the end of the season.
Defenses right now. They haven't done it. Also, I think Aaron sometimes makes things a little bit more difficult on himself than...
There's no doubt about that. Once again, he is very LeBron James-esque.
That needs to be. Because he misses wide open people simply because I think Aaron is just so, right now he's so programmed to make everything look so dynamic and so dramatic.
And also, Louis Riddick, Aaron Rodgers suffers from the curse of the gifted. Very similar to a LeBron James, where they see everything transpiring around them concurrently. And they can actually compute it within their mind to the point where they start to overcompute. And they start to utilize little avenues to try to find the solution for a problem in real time. And the avenue that they're taking is more circuitous than the linear solution that's right there in front of them.
Dramatic that he doesn't take the easy things. Although I still think, in a snapshot, he's still one of the very best in the NFL.
Kobe Bryant of the NFL.
Absolutely, that was a great analogy.
No, not the Kobe of the NFL. He's the LeBron of the NFL.
And Jared Goff, I just laughed. I laughed only because of this. Jared Goff, a couple years ago, I'm telling you, the absolute negativity surrounding this kid from the time he put his face on the camera for HBO's Hard Knocks series to those...
Absolutely. Wasn't he the guy who did not know East from West or something like that? Something like that happened with Jared Goff, I remember, in the preseason training camp his rookie year. And thank God they fired Jeff Fisher.
7 starts that he made in his rookie season, people destroyed this guy. Said he had no business not only being the number 1 pick overall in the draft, but he had no business playing quarterback, period. That he didn't belong in the NFL. And now we're talking about Jared Goff as a top 5 player. Maybe a top 3 player. People said he didn't have arm strength to throw the deep ball, which was absurd if you watch his cow tape.
Beautiful ball.
Exactly.
Absolutely. He throws probably the most beautiful football in the NFL other than Aaron Rodgers. And beyond that, as I've stated repetitively in this video, how he throws the football is so much like a Joe Montana, who also was a quarterback who was accused, allegedly, of having not the strongest arm. But there was not a throw that Joe Montana couldn't make.
The people said that he didn't have the mental aptitude to digest a whole lot of information and a lot of volume. Do you know how much responsibility Sean gives him out there? He has plenty of control at the line of scrimmage. People said he was too skinny. He didn't have the body type. He wouldn't last. Jared Goff. Look, Jared Goff, I made the comparison between Jared Goff and Joe Montana during the draft. That's what he looks like to me.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like to me too, man.
Yeah,
Lewis,
I hear you.
Lewis.
Yes, sir.
Lewis Rick.
I'm listening.
Your overreaction. You're overreacting. You're being a bit emotional. I need you to calm down.
Oh, I'm emotional about this subject.
And here's why I need you to calm down.
You know why?
People might have been saying that, but they were really talking about Jeff Fisher. You know that.
No, that's not true, Stephen A. Smith. I understand where you're trying to go with it. But when they were attacking Jared Goff, they were attacking him. They were not attacking Jeff Fisher. As a matter of fact, Jeff Fisher has been relatively Teflon over the course of his 20-year NFL head coaching career. And he's ruined the careers of numerous quarterbacks that we'll never know how good they could have been. Who knows what Sam Bradford or Vince Young could have been if they played for somebody else besides Jeff Fisher. I mean, shit. Steve McNair got to a Super Bowl with Jeff Fisher as his head coach. Imagine if he had a real coach. Steve McNair might have 100,000 yards passing.
Everybody knew that Jeff Fisher needed to go. And the fact of the matter is Jared Goff has looked so good, whether it's Jared Goff or Sean McVay. Jeff Fisher will never get another head coaching job. I mean, this is
He better not.
The most damning thing that ever happened
to
Jeff Fisher was Jared Goff under Sean McVay. Because I'm talking about the same talent. 1 year later, with pretty much nothing but a different coach, he looked like a completely different quarterback. And everybody was...
Hey, thank Eric Dickerson for that. Because my man Eric Dickerson went on every television show he could find to talk about Jeff Fisher.
He was like, we were looking at Jeff Fisher for the longest time. Max even is, I witnessed all this. Who talked about Jeff Fisher religiously? I mean,
You did, sir. I have to give you credit.
The only person I talked about more than Jeff Fisher was Marvin Lewis. I mean, that's how bad it was.
Marvin Lewis doesn't deserve
Jeff
that.
Fisher, 22 years as a head coach. Jeff Fisher, 22 years as a coach. 16 years. You missed the playoffs, and people were talking about this man like he deserved to be a head coach in the perpetuity.
You know why, Stephen A. Smith? Because number one, he had the complexion for the connection. Number two, he has head coach's face. He's like a 50, 55-year-old white man with a big mustache. So he looks like he should be in administration, and he's not. He's an idiot.
That was utterly ridiculous, and that was what they were talking about with Jared Goff. The jury was still out on Jared Goff because we needed to see him with another coach because we knew Fisher wasn't it.
Hey, real quick, Phillip Rivers, I love him all year. I've been touting him. Bad mental error to lose that game. Like, it makes you think.
Yeah, but that's been his whole career. Like, I've never been a Phillip Rivers guy. I put him on my list because of the season that he's having, and thus far, because this poll is really a week-to-week poll, I have to reward him for, number one, how he's played this season, and the fact that his team pretty much has been considered a top 10, maybe even top 5 NFL team over the course of the season. But we all know that Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady are light years better than Phillip Rivers. I mean, Phillip Rivers has always been overrated. They group him in with Roethlisberger and Eli Manning, and even Eli Manning has won a couple of Super Bowls. Phillip Rivers never won shit. He's had his chances in big games. They've lost playoff games at home in San Diego on his watch. I mean, you just can't do that and get as much praise as he gets on television from a lot of these NFL pundits who want to give hot takes. I remember when that idiot Michael Smith was on television with that other idiot Jamel Hill, and he would always go on and on about Phillip Rivers. And you could tell it was just him trying to sound different from everybody else. What the hell has happened to Michael Smith too? That man disappeared. Once again, brothers, that shows you never ever follow behind the liberal black woman. Never ever do that. You end up like Michael Smith.
Makes you think the Chargers are snake bit, and maybe it's not just snake bit. Maybe the quarterback needs to be better in those situations.
The numbers are there.
And I'll say this. Cannot sleep on Luck. Lewis Riddick, what this man has done recently on that team.
I'm with you. But I'll tell you what, the next great subject we should debate on this show, head coach identification. How can you identify the head coaches to keep the Jeff Fishers away from some of these young quarterbacks and get the Sean McVays and Matt Nagy's in front of them? Because quite honestly, right now, I believe it's just a crapshoot. I think people are throwing darts because you can't interview somebody for 4 hours and go, I found the one. I like the cut of his chin.
All right, we have to go, but Stephen A., I can't believe you don't have Aaron Rodgers, that bad man, and I need you to answer that question right after the break. Don't go anywhere. It's first take.
Yeah, but to me, I think that shows that Stephen A. Smith is objective. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is the most naturally gifted quarterback in the league right now. He's the most talented quarterback in the NFL still, even with Mahomes and Jared Goff and all those guys, because he has the physical abilities of a Jared Goff and a Patrick Mahomes, and he also has the mental acumen of a Drew Brees. The problem is that he's never ever been able to play under a coach like a Sean Payton or a McVay to bring out all the greatness that he has inside of him. But once again, one starts to wonder, is he a LeBron James-esque type of person who will sabotage any potentiality of him being under a brilliant head coach because he always wants to go back and forth with the coach and show that he knows more than him? Is he somebody who wants to have little flaws in his offensive line so that he has somebody to blame when things don't go his way? These are things that we have to start to wonder about Aaron Rodgers. But once again, just getting back to the point, I have to give Stephen A. Smith credit for his objectivity in not having Aaron Rodgers on his list. But anyway, we'll see how things go over the course of the NFL season with these quarterbacks. So peace.